Every single day, we all perform hundreds of actions without even giving a second thought. Sometimes we bite our nails, sometimes we bite our lips, and sometimes we even rest our chin on our hands while we're studying. We all do this so mindlessly and we think that it doesn't affect anything. But did you know that some of these habits are so powerful that they can affect the growth of the facial structures, they can alter the growth of the jaws, as well as alter the positions of the teeth? Yes, that's the power of habits. And in order to understand how these habits can affect our day-to-day life, let's look at some classifications of habits. Hi, my name is Dr. Manjari Bhate. I'm an orthodontist and you're watching Dentistry 101 Orthodontics by Medi Study Go. In today's session, I'm going to be teaching you about habits classifications using very concise mind maps, which are taken from this Orthodontics mind map book by Medi Study Go. This contains several different mind maps that are segregated chapter-wise that make learning as well as quick revisions super easy. So you can grab your copies from Amazon, Flipkart, Dentalcart, and even the Medi Study Go website. And you can even use my special code Dr. Manjari to get a flat 20% off on any of the Medi Study Go bundles. So let's start with the habit classification, starting off with the definition, very important definitions given here. The first definition is a tendency towards an act or an act that has become a repeated performance, relatively fixed, consistent, easy to perform, and almost automatic. So a very important definition given by Boucher OC. You can memorize this to write in your long and short answers. So it's the tendency towards an act or an act that has become a repeated performance, relatively fixed, consistent, easy to perform, and almost automatic. The second definition given by Dorland in 1957, a habit is a fixed or a constant practice established by a constant repetition. Again, the key word is fixed or a constant practice, which is established by constant repetition. The next is one given by Butterworth in 1961, frequent or constant practice or acquired tendency which has been fixed by frequent repetition. The last one, which is oral habits that are learned patterns of muscular contractions. So in this definition, they're talking more about the anatomy and why it happens. It's a muscular contraction, and that's a learned habit or a learned pattern, which is oral habits given by Mathewson in 1982. Now let's move on to some of the important classifications. These again are very important in the university examinations as well. Now let's look at the first classification, which is by James. This is based on the outcomes of the habit. Two categories. First is useful, second is harmful habit. So as the word useful habit is a one that contributes positively to the well-being. So useful habit contributes positively to the well-being and it allows for normal function as well as growth. The examples are a correct placement of the tongue and the mandible will ensure the normal functions of these structures. This was useful example. Now let's see a harmful example. It's a one with negative consequences or on the physical and the mental development. So harmful habits are the ones that have a negative impact or a negative consequence on the physical and the mental development. They exert stress against the orofacial structures, leading to their abnormal positioning. So a harmful habit can cause undue stress and pressure onto certain orofacial structures that will lead to their abnormal positioning. The examples are thumb sucking and tongue thrusting. So this is the example of tongue thrusting. Here the tongue, as you can see, it is being interposed between the upper and the lower incisors. This is the example of thumb sucking. Here the child is placing the thumb in the oral cavity and he's performing the sucking action, which can lead to malocclusions. Now let's go to the second classification, which is by Kingsley in 1958. This is based on functional or non-functional. So let's see what are functional and non-functional types. The functional one, Normal practices that coincide with the regular function of the body. The examples are mouth breathing. Non-functional. They do not involve any physiologic function like thumb sucking. So the difference is that breathing is one function that is a normal physiologic function. So a habit like mouth breathing, it is a functional type of habit, whereas thumb sucking, it does not satisfy any particular function, and therefore thumb sucking becomes a non-functional habit. Now there are certain habits which are combined. Let's see what they are. They involve a mix of both functional as well as non-functional elements. Certain actions may serve a functional purpose while others are non-functional and potentially harmful. The example is a nail biting. So nail biting is the act where the person is chewing on their nails, and this can negatively lead to attrition of the incisors as well as some other malocclusions. So this was the second classification. Now we move to the next classification, which is based on the use of habits as a retreat for stressful situations. So this is by Finn in 1987. He has classified based upon using habits as a retreat to certain stressful situations. He's defined them as compulsive or non-compulsive habits. A compulsive habit is actively, persistently, and repeatedly. It's often as an attempt to reduce apprehension caused by internal feelings of a person as a person wants to turn down or control. The example is nail biting and lip biting. So whenever a patient or a person is faced with a stressful condition, he might resort to nail biting as well as lip biting, and this is a compulsive habit. Children who have non-compulsive habits, they appear to undergo continuing behavior modification, which permits them to release certain undesirable habit patterns and form new ones that are socially acceptable. So non-compulsive are those that are not necessarily fixed and they can be changed, and they adopt new habits in place of the old ones. The example is exercising regularly after facing health issues. So if a person was previously not health conscious and if he faces certain health issues, the non-exercising regularly habit turns into an exercising regularly habit, and that's exactly a non-compulsive habit. Next are primary and secondary habits. So he's classified them as primary and secondary habits. Let's see what they are. Main or initial habit that the individual engages in is called as a primary habit, like a nail biting. Now, what is a secondary habit? Due to a supplemental problem, that is called as a secondary habit. So a large tongue causes a tongue thrusting habit. So in the first primary type, the habit is the main source. So nail biting is your first primary habit. Now the secondary type is not a habit in the beginning, but because of certain other anatomical factors like a large tongue, that can lead to a tongue thrust. That is a secondary habit. So secondary habit is more like a response to another anatomical feature. Now let's start with the next classification, which is a very important one. So this is based on the psychological influence by Klein in 1971. So he's taken psychological influences as the basis of the classification, classified them into empty habits. So empty habit is a one where a meaningless habit that can be treated easily by a dentist using a reminder therapy. That means that empty habits are not deep-seated in any emotional problems. They can be treated quite easily. For example, tongue thrust that causes an open bite and mouth breathing. The next is a meaningful habit. So the first was empty habit. The second type is a meaningful habit. This is deep-rooted in a psychological problem. So if there's a child undergoing a stressful condition at home or at school, he can have a meaningful habit like thumb sucking and bruxism, both of which are stress and anxiety induced. The next classification is the classification based on the exertion of pressure on the surrounding orofacial structures. This is by Morris and Bohanna, a very, very important classification. So this is based on the exertion of the pressure on the surrounding orofacial tissues. Pressure habits and postural habits, non-pressure habits, and biting habits. So 4 types are there. Let's start with the first, which is pressure habit. Thumb sucking and tongue thrusting, both of these exert pressure and therefore they are pressure habits. Non-pressure habits like mouth breathing, Mouth breathing does not involve any direct pressure on any of the orofacial structures, so that's a non-pressure habit. The next is biting habits. This involves some type of biting like nail biting and pencil chewing. Last is a postural habit. So how the head is resting or how the chin is placed, head rest and chin propping, these are two postural habits. Starting with the last classification, this is based on the nature, nurture, and the pattern of learning. So let's understand these terms, starting with nature. In nature, there are two types, physiological habits and pathologic habits. A physiologic habit is required for normal physiologic functioning, like nasal respiration and sucking during infancy. Both of these are physiologic functions. So nasal respiration will ensure the proper breathing, and sucking during infancy is again an important habit. It's a physiologic habit that helps in drawing milk during breastfeeding. Pathologic habit is a one that is pursued because of a pathological reason, such as adenoids, nasal septal defects that might lead to mouth breathing. So let's have a look at nasal septal defects. Whenever there is a deviated nasal septum, that could lead to an obstruction in the normal nasal breathing, and therefore the child could resort to a pathological habit like mouth breathing. Next is nurture. So within nurture, again, there are two types. There's a retained habit and there's a cultivated habit. Let's see how it is. So this depends on how we nurture the habit or how the habit is continued, whether it is a retained habit or it is a cultivated habit. Retained habits are those that are carried over from a childhood into adulthood. So example is twirling of hair with the fingers and swaying of their legs while sitting. These are habits that might be present in childhood and they are carried on into adulthood. So these are retained habits. They are retained from the childhood onto the adulthood phase. Cultivated habits, on the other hand, are developed during socio-active life of an individual. For example, getting enough sleep every night, meditation, and eating healthy food. So these are habits that a person is consciously cultivating and he's consciously making it as a habit, like meditating every day, eating healthy food, as well as getting enough sleep every night. These are cultivated habits. Coming to the pattern of learning, this is very important. So pattern of learning could be either obsessive or non-obsessive, which leads to obsessive habits or non-obsessive habits. Obsessive habits are deep-rooted in psychological influence on an individual. So the first is intentional obsessive habit like thumb sucking. Second is a self-inflicting or a masochistic habit. Masochistic habit is a habit where the patient is self-harming. So these are developed to deprived cognitive maturity as a result of any underlying syndrome. So for example, gingival peeling, there are a lot of patients who do a gingival peeling. This is a masochistic habit, and also intense modifications of any oral habits. Next is a non-obsessive habit. Unintentional or functional habits without any psychological influence. So in the obsessive one, there was a deep-seated psychological influence. In non-obsessive habits, there is no emotional influence. They are easily learned and easily dropped as well. The examples are functional habits and unintentional habits. So functional habits like thumb sucking and mouth breathing, whereas unintentional habits like an abnormal pillowing and chin propping. These are all the different types of habits, their classifications. And now let's move on to the MCQs for today. The first MCQ, according to Morris and Bohanna classification, thumb sucking, tongue thrusting, and finger sucking are classified as A. Pressure habits, B. Non-pressure habits, C. Biting habits, and D. Functional habits. So let's see what they are. As you can make out from the options, B. Non-pressure habits does not make sense because as the thumb is placed into the mouth or tongue thrusting occurs, there is some sort of action or a pressure that's taking place. Biting habits, again, tongue thrusting is not a biting habit. Functional habits, thumb sucking does not serve any particular function, and therefore the answer is a pressure habits. So Morris and Bohanna class thumb sucking, tongue thrusting, as well as finger sucking as pressure habits. Now let's look at the examples of what the other options were. A. Pressure habits, we saw that they apply direct force on the teeth. Non-pressure habits, these do not apply any direct force onto the teeth. For example, mouth breathing. The next is biting habits, which are nail or pencil biting. And finally, functional. This is not one of the classes that is categorized by Morris and Bohanna. In Morris and Bohanna, there are pressure, non-pressure, as well as biting habits. Let's go to the flashcard. So oral habits are defined as, you could use any classification by Matthewson or by Boucher. So the definition is repeated muscular acts becoming fixed by repetition. So this can be your own flashcard, and you can also make your own flashcards with different definitions of habits, classifications and their definitions by using the Medi StudyGo app, which is available for download on the App Store as well as the Play Store. You can make your own notes as well as customize your own flashcards on this app. And you can also access our other study material like mind maps, notes, videos, flashcards, as well as MCQs on this app. And the best part is that it's all for free. All you have to do is to earn coins every single day so that you can unlock more and more study material. The more you study on the app every single day, the more coins you will earn, and that's the best part. So if you have liked this video, you can give this a like, subscribe to our channel, and also share this with your friends. And until I see you in the next video, keep studying and keep practicing with Medi StudyGo. Thank you.